Hello, Bygone Geek universe, and welcome to your weekly dose of nostalgia. Step away from the stress of today and join me back in 2002. It's your time traveler's guide to this very moment, just way back when. You know, we've done 1990, we've done 1987, we've done 1997, but I wanted for some people who it's like we were all, you know, for a lot of listeners and a lot of watchers, like we were kids during those years. But now, 2002, I know for me, I was 17 years old. I just finished my junior year of high school. So this was my final summer before going into my senior year. So let's get started with the first category that we always do of what movies would have been on the marquee at the theater at this very moment in 2002. Here we go.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
All right, folks. So your top 5 movies at this very moment in 2002 would have been Signs, Mr. Deeds, Austin Powers Goldmember, The Bourne Identity, and Minority Report. Like I always say in these episodes, crazy range of movies. It's so nuts that you can pick a segment in time and it's just wildly different of action, comedy, drama, all these different things that came out at this moment. So yeah, we're going to break all of these down as to just like what I remember of these 5 movies in 2002. So we're going to start this off, I guess, with Mr. Deeds.
Mr. Deeds.
Put some steam on it, kid. Ooh, that got you right in the throat, huh?
So I don't know about the rest of you, but Adam Sandler was absolutely integral in my retro childhood. From watching him on Saturday night for Saturday Night Live, and then seeing him in like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, he was this icon of comedy, and he was just so relatable. He seemed like a guy that you could have gone to school with. He seemed like your next door neighbor.
You're sick! You're sick! Why would you do that to me? I'm just kidding you, pal.
I mean, in Mr. Deeds, you had one heck of a lineup. You not only had Adam Sandler, but you have Steve Buscemi, John Turturro, Winona Ryder. Like, it was kind of shocking the different people that Adam Sandler was able to bring into this comedy. But I think that that's something he should like take a lot of credit for. He pulls in a lot of big actors I mean, we all know that Steve Buscemi can just knock it out of the park in dramatic roles, but to see him in Adam Sandler movies be hilarious. I mean, he's so good in this with this crazy eye. And I feel like with John Turturro, even more so. I love the show Severance right now on Apple TV. I can't wait for the second season of it. And it's crazy to think that John Turturro is now in this award-winning, dramatic, edge-of-your-seat thriller TV show, but he plays the butler in Mr. Deeds.
Kind of snuck up on me there. I am very, very sneaky, sir.
So another top movie at this time in 2002 is a wild pivot from Mr. Deeds. It's none other than The Bourne Identity.
He has the skills.
You! Stop right there!
Of a dangerous man.
I feel like The Bourne Identity was a groundbreaking, bar-setting action movie in 2002. I think it was a gateway to things like John Wick. I think it was also fuel to the fire to Tom Cruise to continue making so many sequels to Mission Impossible. I just feel like it's shocking to me that Matt Damon, who comes out of nowhere with Good Will Hunting and wins an Oscar and all of these other things, for him to go from this flawless dramatic role in my mind of Good Will Hunting and pairing him with Robin Williams, my goodness, we all know, just the combination of those two is absolutely groundbreaking and amazing. But it's nuts to me to think that Matt Damon, not that long, I think it's within 4 or 5 years after Good Will Hunting, does The Bourne Identity and just knocks it out of this park with this like crazy action thriller, edge of your seat spy movie. Like, it was so good.
I swear to God, if I even feel somebody behind me, there is no measure to how fast and how hard I will bring this fight to your doorstep.
Another groundbreaking movie that came out at this very moment in 2002 was none other than Minority Report.
Tom Cruise.
I need your help. You contain information. I need to know how to get at it.
In a Steven Spielberg film.
So when you take Tom Cruise and put him in a sci-fi world, and then you make him a detective that can predict murders before they even happen, you get this perfect storm of Minority Report in 2002. And it totally blew me away. I adore Tom Cruise in everything that he does for the most part. But something about this movie, I really feel like, because I was a teenager at the time and could buy my own ticket and drive myself to the theater, something about it, I just vividly remember being one of Tom Cruise's top movies that really cemented in my mind that he was this amazing actor.
I've never heard of him, but I'm supposed to kill him in less than 36 hours.
He's coming here to get her.
So now we're going to take a wild pivot from Minority Report, because the next movie that was a top movie at this moment in 2002 was Austin Powers' Goldmember. So I think a lot of people forget how huge the Austin Powers franchise was. I know I saw all three of these films in the theaters, and I know in hindsight, a lot of people rip into Austin Powers. If we honestly remember at that time, these were huge. They were relatable across the board to kids, to teenagers, to adults, to grandparents. Everybody went to see these movies. When you have Mike Myers doing his normal comedy and playing all these different roles, and you have Mini-Me, and then you introduce Fat Bastard, and then you introduce Michael Caine as his dad, and you introduce Beyonce as, Foxy Cleopatra, I think was her name. It was a wildly entertaining and funny movie.
Welcome to 1975, Austin Powers and Faja.
So the top movie in theaters at this very moment in 2002 is none other than Signs.
There's a monster outside my room. Can I have a glass of water?
Signs is another movie that I feel like in present day, people forget how wildly huge it was in 2002. And I think people are overly critical of it with a present day eye. As the years have gone on, people have picked this apart like buzzards, and I don't know why, because I still adore this movie in every way, shape, and form. I saw this in the theaters and it terrified me. It was a downright horror film at points. It was super scary at different points. The idea of M. Night Shyamalan using the kind of Jaws mentality of we only see that shark every so often. And those moments when you see that shark and we need a bigger boat, it scares the living daylights out of you. And I know one of the first moments in this movie when Mel Gibson's on that bed and he's talking with his daughter and he glances out that dark window and sees that dark silhouette of that alien on that rooftop of that barn. I had a panic attack, like in the theater. It was horrifying. It was so terrifying. And even more so, I feel like in the scene where it's like handheld shaky cam, I think it's supposed to be like in Brazil on the news, Joaquin Phoenix watching the TV in the closet so those kids wouldn't get scared. When they pan to that bush and you see that alien step out into that alleyway, I remember the theater gasping. I remember people gasping and just freaking out completely. It was an ultimate jump scare. I think it was one of the first jump scares I can vividly recall because I was in a theater where everybody reacted to it with panic, as M. Night Shyamalan intended it to be.
Move, children. Vámonos.
So if you couldn't tell from how passionately I was talking about the movie Signs, it is my top choice out of these 5 movies at this very moment in 2002. So like I do every week, I looked up some behind the scenes facts and some deep dive kind of trivia about the movie, and they're very entertaining. So I bet you didn't know that in the movie Signs, Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix weren't the original stars of the movie. Originally, they were looking at Clint Eastwood and Mark Ruffalo, none other than Get Off My Lawn and the Hulk. I mean, could you imagine in this movie that you have Clint Eastwood that he's just sitting out on his porch in his farmhouse by the cornfields, just with a shotgun being like, "Get off my lawn, you aliens." And then you have Mark Ruffalo, who at the time in 2002 was like kind of a rom-com guy. So it was interesting that he was originally cast in this. I just feel like Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix just were perfect chemistry and made sense as brothers. and the way they played off of each other and the kids in the movie, like it's perfect in every way. So I'm super glad that we didn't get Clint Eastwood and Mark Ruffalo. No offense to you guys, but it would have been a wildly different movie for sure. So the final fun fact that I have about the movie Signs is actually very sweet and very endearing. Did you know that when Mel Gibson is kneeling down, speaking to his child, trying to calm him as the aliens are slowly invading their home, he tells them that, like, your mother was bleeding. We were scared. They rushed you out of the room. I didn't even get a chance to see you. Just absolute masterclass of acting in every way, shape, and form. It came across that wholesome and that endearing because that was M. Night Shyamalan's personal, real-life story about his own child. He put it into the film. My goodness, it's no wonder that scene is so good. It's not just the line of dialogue. It's literally Mel Gibson retelling the story that M. Night Shyamalan told him about his own kid, and he put it into this integral part of this phenomenal movie. It gives you chills when you watch this scene. This idea of a father in a moment of terror and realizing this is horrific for his kids takes the time to look up, just lock eyes with him, kneel down to his level, and try to calm him by telling him how strong he once was as a child, as a baby, and to be strong now. You are strong. Whoa, so beautiful.
Because she had dreamed about you her whole life. And she got feeling better. They brought you in.
So out of these top 5 movies that were in the theaters in 2002, at this very moment, which one would you have seen? Signs, Mr. Deeds, Austin Powers Goldmember, The Bourne Identity, or Minority Report? You have such a wild mix of comedy, of drama, of action. It is a heck of a lineup. It is so good in every way, shape, and form. And I vividly remember seeing all of these movies back then. But my top pick out of these 5, by far, would have been Signs. I will stand by it for sure. So the very next category we're going to jump right into is music of this moment in 2002. What would you have been listening to on your CD player? So let's go ahead and dive right in.
Number 1. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Casey's Top 40.
So I picked out 3 of the top songs that were in this moment in 2002. And the very first one that I'm going to start off with is Hero by Chad Kroeger.
A hero can save us. I'm not gonna stand here waiting.
And I hold on to the wings of an eagle. Watch as we all fly away. Okay, I know I'm making fun of it now, but like, I adored this song. I still adore this song, to be honest with you. And to pair the voice of Chad Kroeger, the lead singer of Nickelback, with the movie Spider-Man was the perfect combination. When you think of the first Spider-Man movie, you think of this song Hero hand in hand.
They're watching us. Yes, they all fly away.
So another big song at this very moment in 2002 was none other than Complicated by Avril Lavigne.
Tell me whatever gonna make things so complicated.
So back in 2002, I was a massive pop punk rock fan. I mean, I already adored the likes of Blink-182, of Green Day, of New Found Glory, of Yellowcard, all of these just like amazing pop punk bands. So then when you take Avril Lavigne and you put her into this mix, she was just, first of all, I'm 17 years old and I'm just like, whoa, like this young woman is just knocking it out of the park. Complicated was so good and so catchy, and the music video was so fun, and it was just young kids wreaking havoc and skateboarding and just like having a good time. So the top song on the Billboard charts at this very moment in 2002 was none other than Hot in Her by Nelly.
It's getting hot in here, so hot, so take off all your clothes.
So just to clear things up, this is actually called Hot in Her. I remember it being called Hot in Here, but when I was doing the research for this episode, it is Hot in Her, Herre. I know I just sound white bread and boring and old when I say it, But I do vividly remember in 2002 this song being played in dances that I went to. I'm very shocked because I grew up in a super conservative town, hillbillies as far as the eye can see. But this song somehow made it through on the DJ list at these dances. So all I can think is like our, at the time, middle-aged conservative parents just thought it was a song about summer and actual temperature and didn't pay attention that he was saying to take off all your clothes because it was hot in her.
Good gracious, ass bodacious, flirtatious, trying to show patience.
So let's go ahead and transition to our very next category of what you would have saw on your TV screen prime time at this moment in 2002. So let's go.
Stay tuned for a whole new season of TGIF.
So at this very moment in 2002, on Monday nights on CBS, you had the lineup of King of Queens, Yes Dear, and Everybody Loves Raymond. So as much as I adored King of Queens and Everybody Loves Raymond at this moment in 2002, I was only 17. So I only understood certain levels of the comedy of these TV shows. But now rewatching these shows as a married man who has in-laws, it is so much more hilarious and it is so much more relatable and it stands the test of time.
They're coming!
So Tuesdays on Fox at this very moment in 2002, you could watch back-to-back That 70s Show, The Simpsons, and American Idol. It's crazy to think that American Idol has been around since 2002, over 2 decades. But I vividly remember at the age of 17 watching this first season of American Idol. It was a massive show. I think as much as it's been big over the past 20 years, this very first season, I feel like is locked in retro history as just taking the world by storm. It was a first of its kind type of show of just the judges. I mean, it was a benchmark. It's a foundation of reality television is this first season of American Idol. And I do remember a young Kelly Clarkson and Justin Guarini and them singing. And it was just like, it's crazy to think that at this moment in 2002, we were just a couple weeks away from the finale of this iconic first season of American Idol.
The winner of American Idol 2002 is Kelly Clarkson.
So let's transition into the final category we do each week is what you would have gone to Blockbuster for. What would you have gone to the video store to rent at this very moment in 2002? So let's go ahead and check it out.
Come discover the Blockbuster difference.
So 5 of the biggest video rentals at this very moment in 2002. We Were Soldiers, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Super Troopers, and Van Wilder. Man, oh man, is that one heck of a selection of video rentals at this time. Actually, now that I think about it, it's technically DVD rentals, but it's locked in my brain. Blockbuster Video, not Blockbuster DVDs. The video rental store, not the DVD rental store. But it was just, I do remember, especially at this moment, I had my own video rental store card. I was able to go with friends and we could hang out and pick stuff together. It was such a cool time for me as a teenager. And so I do remember watching all 5 of these movies. So it's been very difficult to pick what the top one is, but the very first one that I'm going to start off with is none other than The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. I vividly remember going to the theaters to see this movie and being absolutely astonished at the graphics, the storyline, just everything about it was just, I've never seen anything like that before. Without a doubt, this was huge. This was massive. Lord of the Rings was everywhere. Everybody wanted to see this movie. And I really do think, I firmly believe that Lord of the Rings and the success of the Fellowship of the Ring set forth this precedent of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I know that we already had X-Men and other things that were happening at this same time, but not to the scale of Lord of the Rings. I don't think if we wouldn't have responded to the grandness of the battle scenes of the Fellowship of the Ring, you would have never have gotten Endgame. So another big home video rental at this moment in 2002 was none other than Van Wilder.
I'm doing a human interest piece on you.
I'd love for your piece to be on me.
The movie Van Wilder came at the perfect time that I was 17 in 2002, and I remember renting this movie and just being like, this is what college is like? That I was 1 year away from going to college and was just like, whoa, like I never thought college could be like this. Like it established this like crazy idea of what college was to kids in the early 2000s. And I know for me, it was also my first introduction to Ryan Reynolds as an actor. And now in 2023, when you go back and you watch this movie, you realize how much Ryan Reynolds has kind of been the same guy for the past 2 decades. There's Deadpool vibes when you watch Van Wilder.
All you need are the 3 fundamentals: scented candles, massage oil, and Barry White.
So another great comedy that was on your video rental shelf at this very moment in 2002 was none other than Super Troopers.
You know how fast you were going?
65.
63.
The law messes with you.
Yeah, can I get a liter of cola?
A what?
A liter of cola?
Liter of cola? Do we make liter of cola?
Man, Farva in this and all these other characters were just so hilarious. And it's crazy to think that these broken lizard guys have been around for over 2 decades. I did not realize how old Super Troopers was, but I do. I remember in high school at the age of 17 in 2002 when it came out for DVD release. I do remember watching it, and I remember quoting it with friends. It was just so funny and so quotable, and it still stands today. And I just love that these guys are still giving me laughs today in 2023. And it all started back in 2002 when I was 17 years old and saw Super Troopers on my video rental store shelf. So cool.
Do you want to dip size your meal for a quarter more?
Want me to punch size your face for free?
And the final movie that came out on home video at this very moment was none other than We Were Soldiers.
We're moving into the valley of the shadow of death.
So I saved We Were Soldiers until the end because it is my top pick. I didn't know heading into this episode that it was going to be such a Mel Gibson loving episode, but with the movie Signs in 2002 at the theaters and just adoring that movie, and then going to my video rental store and seeing We Were Soldiers on the shelf, it was a Mel Gibson year for me. A lot of years, I feel like growing up, were Mel Gibson years for me. He was just, I don't know. He was an amazing, mind-blowing actor back in the day. So this might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel like the movie We Were Soldiers is right up there with the likes of Saving Private Ryan and Black Hawk Down and all of the iconic A-list Oscar-level sort of war movies. We Were Soldiers is right there. It is so amazing. It is masterclass of acting with Mel Gibson, with Sam Elliott, and it's no wonder because they brought on the real-life soldiers who survived this experience in the Vietnam War to be consultants on the set. They were right there behind the camera telling Sam Elliott like what they needed to do, the fear that they experienced, what they told their men, what they went through. And I think that shines through that camera lens, that shines through the film. So did you know that in We Were Soldiers, Sam Elliott became so close with the character, the real life character that he played in the movie, Basil Plumley, that when he actually passed away and had his military funeral, Sam was sitting right next to Basil Plumley's daughter while she received the folded flag. I think there's a lot to be said about an actor being invited to a personal, intimate experience like a funeral. And I think that goes to show what Sam Elliott put into that role, how he must have connected with Basil to be able to be that close to him, for them to have such a connection.
Gentlemen, prepare to defend yourselves.
So did you know that in We Were Soldiers, they actually painstakingly recreated the Vietnam battlefield by flying in the right vegetation, changing the topography, excavating the land, and used actual insights and input from the Vietnam soldiers who were there back in the day. It's no wonder this movie is so astonishing on such a grand scale, is because that's not a movie set. They made this historically accurate, and apparently they fired over 10,000 rounds in the movie. And when the planes fly in to knock back the Vietnamese army, they actually used explosives from these historical planes flying in at the time. They weren't CGI. It was real heat. It was a real rendition of napalm in order to make it look so real. So it's no wonder this movie is right up there with any war movie of its time or present day or back in the day. Like, it's just painstakingly recreated, so much so that the real life photographer that's depicted in the movie, Joe Galloway, during the screening of this movie had to leave the theater because it was too realistic, and he said he didn't want to experience this again. That is astonishing. Hollywood tends to cut corners, tends to go for the cash grab. But I feel like this type of movie back in the day, with names like Mel Gibson and Sam Elliott, and such an important historical story to tell, it shows the effort that they put in to have real people there and take their input and recreate it in the level that they did. Is no wonder why We Were Soldiers still stands the test of time today and tells a very difficult story that's very hard to watch at different points, but is necessary. I feel like it was necessary to tell that story with such realism. I really do. So thank you for tuning in to another week of Bygone Geek. And until the next time you see us or hear us, be sure to live your life with just a little bit of whimsy. We'll see you guys next week.